weather around, and actually Sunday looking like a pretty fine day for many of us. Some cloud just lingering across the far east coast of England, and the cloud will begin to build throughout Northern Ireland as well later on in the day, and it's these frontal systems that will then start pushing across the rest of the UK as we move into the start of the new working week. Low pressure then returns as we move into the new week, and it will turn unsettled once again with further spells of cloud and rain, but temperatures generally staying on the mild side. Bye-bye.
Monday to Thursday nights on GB News. At 6, it's Dubes & Co. 7 o'clock, Farage. At 8, join Jacob Rees-Mogg. And at 9, Dan Wootton Tonight, followed by Headliners. On TV, radio and online. This is GB News.
First and foremost, I am a GB News fan, and I was before I was working here. Just love the fact that we're asking the questions that a lot of establishment media won't ask.
With a bit of a twist, we not only want to inform you, but we want to keep you entertained.
It's worth the drive because you get in and the team's all ready and waiting, they're itching to go, and it's a proper little family.
GB News is the people's channel.
It's the audience that makes the programme sing.
We're giving our viewers and our listeners a voice. I see the thousands of your letters, tweets, emails, you name it, coming in.
Britain is broken. How on earth did we get into this mess? But more importantly, how do we get out of it?
The establishment had their chance. Now we're here to represent you.
It's time for something different. It's time for GB News. I'm very patriotic. I believe in Britain. Our best days lie ahead.
Britain's watching.
Britain's watching.
Join us here on GB News.
The people's channel.
Britain's news channel.
Join me, Patrick Christie's, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6. We tackle the day's news agenda like you've never seen before. It's high tempo, high octane, the most controversial topics, and the best guests. You will not be able to take your eyes and ears off it. I'm not afraid to ask the questions that you really want answered. 3 till 6 p.m, Monday to Friday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News has its own late-night paper preview show, Headliners, where comedians take you through the next day's top news stories. You don't have to bother reading the newspaper, we've got it covered for you. Headliners, every night at 11 p.m, and repeated every morning at 5 a.m. We won't send you to sleep like some of the other paper review shows out there. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, on Sunday mornings from 9:30, taking the politicians to task and breaking out of SW1 to see how their decisions are affecting you across the UK. Bursting the Westminster bubble every Sunday morning, only on GB News, the People's Channel. Britain's watching.
I'm Michael Portillo. Join me on GB News on a Sunday morning for topical discussion, debate, arts and culture, and sometimes even ethical dilemmas.
I don't always agree with you, Michael.
Michael Portillo, Sundays on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Andrew Doyle. Join me at 7 o'clock every Sunday night for Free Speech Nation, the show where I tackle the week's biggest stories in politics and current affairs with the help of my 2 comedian panellists and a variety of special guests.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights from 7 on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good evening, I'm Tatiana Sanchez with your latest news headlines. The UK has welcomed the International Criminal Court's decision to issue an arrest warrant against the Russian president. The Foreign Secretary, James Cleverly, says it's essential to hold Moscow to account. The ICC is accusing Vladimir Putin of war crimes, including the unlawful deportation of children from Ukraine to Russia. The Kremlin has described the claims as outrageous and says it doesn't recognise the jurisdiction of the ICC. Deputy Prime Minister Dominic Raab says Russia must be held to account.
This is a historic moment in the conflict in Ukraine. The International Criminal Court, which operates independently, has issued an indictment for President Putin and the Children's Commissioner for appalling crimes against children. And whilst they operate independently, it's really important the international community support them and give them the tools to do the job, which is why I'll be hosting on Monday with my Dutch opposite number 40 countries from around the world to give them the support to conduct the investigations, to look after witnesses, to care for the victims so that they can see this through and we hope have accountability for those appalling crimes.
Now, the Home Secretary has accused critics of the government's Rwanda plan of peddling a, quote, completely false narrative in an effort to get the policy scrapped. Suella Braverman says Rwanda is planning to take thousands of asylum seekers, not the 200 some have claimed. She's on a 2-day visit to the Central African nation to see support structures being developed and reaffirm the UK's commitment to the scheme. It involves sending people that arrive in the UK on a small boat to have their claim assessed in Rwanda, which Ms Braverman has described as groundbreaking. Security guards at Heathrow Airport are to strike for 10 days over Easter in a dispute over pay. The Unite Union says over 1,400 of its members at Terminal 5 will walk out from the 31st of March after voting in favour of the industrial action. The airport says it has contingency plans in place to deal with the strike, but is urging the union to discuss its proposed 10% pay rise. Junior doctors have agreed to suspend further strike action and enter pay talks with the government. The Health and Social Care Department says the British Medical Association, representing junior doctors, has agreed to start formal talks. More than 175,000 appointments had to be postponed to protect emergency care during this week's strike. An NHS boss called the 3-day walkout unprecedented. The BMA has been demanding a 35% pay rise, which Downing Street says would cost an additional £4 billion. And the Prince and Princess of Wales have been celebrating St Patrick's Day with the Irish Guards. Kate and William have attended the St Patrick's Day parade in Aldershot. It's Kate's first time at the parade as Colonel of the regiment. The royal couple also met with past members of the Irish Guards. TV, online and DAB Plus radio. This is GB News. Now it's over to headliners.
Hello, I'm Andrew Doyle. Welcome to Headliners, your first look at Saturday's newspapers. And joining me to take you through the stories on this lovely St Patrick's Day, we've got Dapper Laughs and Jonathan Cogan. St Patrick's Day, have you got any Irish blood in you, either of you?
Yeah, well, my surname's actually O'Reilly, so I've got...
Oh, I thought it was Laughs.
No, it's just like, that's just a character.
Ah, I get it. Okay.
Yeah, that's not my real name. No, yeah, my surname's O'Reilly, so, yeah, my family's Irish, yeah.
Yeah, and you, Cogan?
Certainly not.
No,
absolutely
none of it.
not.
And you wouldn't like it, would you?
Well, Andrew, I was just thinking, like, we're kind of like we're the naughty schoolboys today, and you're kind of the very, like, well-educated private tutor that's been...
That's going to be my role today. That's what I'm going with. I enjoy that. I think that's good. We're going to start, though, by having a look at Saturday's front covers. And the Daily Mail is leading with passport strike threat to holidays. The Telegraph has gone with war crime arrest warrant for Putin. The Guardian is leading with NHS doctors offered £5,000 to lure staff into private jobs. The Mirror has a victory over cruel hunters. And The Times is leading with holidays hit as passport staff walk out over pay. We, of course, are going to be covering that in just one moment. And the Daily Star, we're not going on a summer holiday. And those are your front covers. So we're going to kick off the show by looking at the front cover of Saturday's Telegraph. Dan, this is Vladimir Putin's in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, the ICC judges issue arrest warrants for Putin over war crimes. The International Crime Court in The Hague, they want to arrest him for overseeing abduction of Ukrainian children, sending Russia another significant step on the path to becoming a pariah state. So basically, someone is going to go into work at the ICC, and their boss is going to be like, right, listen, today you've got to go get Putin, and he's going to be like, what? How do I do that? But that, like the ICC, the jurisdiction only falls over people that have signed up to the ICC. So Russia, Ukraine, and US ain't part of it, so it's kind of irrelevant.
That's the point, isn't it? That Putin won't care about this. He doesn't recognise the jurisdiction of the ICC.
No, not at all.
He doesn't care about The Hague. He's too busy wrestling with bears and riding topless on stallions.
Doing judo.
Does he do judo as well?
He's a big judo guy.
Let's not glorify him, all right? He's quite a naughty person.
He's a naughty person, but he can be tough. We can acknowledge that, I think, but he's not a nice guy. So he won't care about this, Jonathan, so it won't really matter.
He won't care, but interestingly, so apparently Gaddafi was toppled and killed months after his warrant was announced. So maybe there's a little...
well, you know, the ICC doesn't generally do this for sitting heads of state. They did it with Gaddafi. They did it with the Sudanese president as well, al-Bashir.
Yeah.
So they've done this before, but whether it's going to make any difference at this point. So apparently they've specifically focused on these crimes about the children. So taking that, I think they were saying 6,000 children from Ukraine and trying to re-educate them. I suppose because from Putin's point of view, they are Russian.
Right.
And he's trying to, but, you know, it's dodgy as
absolutely,
hell,
yeah. Horrible situation.
Horrible, absolutely. OK, well, let's hope it makes some kind of a difference. Anyway, we're going to move on to the front cover of Saturday's Daily Mail. You're not going abroad anytime soon, are you?
Well,
Jonathan?
hopefully. I mean, fortunately, I've been using a fake passport for most of my life.
Yes,
I was still on my mum's passport till I was 21, and I just adopted a fake name. Rusty Shackelford was my...
I could see that as your drag name, actually.
Yeah, my drag name.
Rusty, what?
Actually, Havana Abortion was my drag name.
Was it actually? You had a drag?
No, I thought about doing it one night in Edinburgh, but I didn't do it because I couldn't find any tights that I liked. But
Jonathan, let's get to the story.
Yeah, go ahead. I actually go by Havana these days. Oh yeah, so this story in the Daily Mail, it's pure bureaucracy in action. So passport strike, threat to holidays. So some holidays are at risk from a 5-week strike by passport staff. So there are going to be walkouts early next month, and apparently it's going to take up to 10 weeks to get your passport. That's a long time. Even for the government agency that prints documents, that's a very long time.
It is. This is the kind of story, this is red meat to Daily Mail readers. I think they're going to be angry about this. But, you know, every now and then you get this, like a passport strike, and actually the passport office normally sort of steps up and gets the things processed quite quickly. But are you going abroad soon?
Do you know what? I'm panicking now because my passport actually runs out in May. And, and some countries don't let you travel unless you've got, like, 6 months on it. I've just realised my wife's going to kill me.
Yeah, you can't go on holiday. You're staying put.
Yeah.
Good holidays in Bournemouth, though. Like, honestly, they have a lovely coast.
We're caravanning back. We're bringing it back.
Yeah, bring back the staycation. Yeah, anyway, this is going to upset an awful lot of people. Anyway, we're going to move on to the next front cover. This is the Mirror. Now, Dan, this is about trophy hunting. Horrible practice, I have to say.
Yeah, Cecile the Lion has not died in vain. MPs passed ban on importing hunting trophies into Britain, despite claims that the change, backed by celebrities, obviously Gary Lineker's involved in this somehow. A government minister fought off tears today as MPs passed a ban on bringing dead animal hunting trophies into the UK. But there's some criticism here because actually you'll have to explain this, John. We had a little chat about this before. There is actually some benefits to some of this stuff, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, so again, like personally, I don't think I'd want to do this. I love animals, but I can understand the hunting aspect as well. Like, you know, I eat meat, so why couldn't I just sort of? Well, I'm not going to eat lion, I suppose. Maybe a lion, but no, that's stupid.
You want to kill lions? Is that what you're saying?
I want to choke them out. No,
you couldn't take down a lion.
I could possibly take down a big house cat if it was very.
I think you could manage a chinchilla or something.
Chinchilla, yeah. I've managed a few chinchillas in my time, but basically, what we're saying here is that in conservation efforts, where they look after the lions, they're often funded by this trophy hunting.
Yes.
So if you stop people, you know, if you stop incentivizing people to trophy hunt, then there's going to be less money in these areas and more animals will die. So it's a tricky thing.
I don't know if I buy that.
No?
You know, and I think ultimately we have to have a ban on people bringing back that stuff to this country. And for no other reason than this stops at least UK people shooting these endangered species abroad. I mean, we're doing our bit in that sense.
But what happens then if there's less caretaking of these animals because there's less money to fund it?
Oh, now you're just complicating things.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
just admit it, you hate lions.
I hate lions.
I mean, all of this came about because of that Cecil the Lion. So that was a dentist, wasn't it, who shot this animal?
The dentist killed a famous lion. You can't kill famous lions.
But it was quite cruel because, you know, he shot the lion with, I think, with a bow, actually. He shot the lion and then...
No, but bow hunting can actually be... from watching Joe Rogan, apparently bow hunting can be the most humane if you do it right.
No. This dentist shot the lion,
this is horrible,
let it wander around for half a day in the throes of death and then shot it again and killed it. That's not acceptable.
OK, no, that's not good. That
Typical
is
dentist, though, putting you through all that pain.
This is it. I think dentists are actually attracted to pain. That's why they go into the job. No wonder they're maiming lions.
Yeah.
Wouldn't put it past them. Anyway, we're going to move on to this next front cover. Apologies to any dentists who are watching, by the way. This story's with The Guardian. Jonathan, what The Guardian front cover on Saturday, what are they going with?
They're going with a few things. Just very quickly, Succession is back. Very exciting. One of the best TV shows, in my opinion. Right, but back to the story. So NHS doctors offered £5,000 to lure staff into private jobs. So what it looks like here is that NHS doctors of varying different positions are being offered considerable money to recruit colleagues for private hospitals and commercial healthcare providers.
This is specifically HCA Healthcare.
Who are an American company.
American company doing all these golden hellos and basically saying, if you come over to us from the NHS, we'll give you all this extra money, benefits, gym membership, I think they're talking about, all this sort of thing. But the thing is, Jonathan, is it not the case that when you sign up for the NHS as a junior doctor or a nurse or whatever, you're doing it vocationally, you're doing it because you care about the NHS?
No,
I think it's a combination,
we had this conversation before. It doesn't matter if you do care about people. You still got to get paid, right?
You want, but
you still got to, like, you know, just because they do it because they want to help people, people want nice things. They've got, just to be able to afford to live.
No, that's true. But, you know, I spoke to someone who became a doctor and he said that his plan was to work for the NHS for a certain number of years so that he's sort of done his duty and then he was going to go to Bupa and get all the bling.
The real dough.
Yeah, get the Rolls Royces.
Yeah,
at that point,
but I think the way the government are behaving now, doctors are probably thinking, you know what, let's just go get the dough now.
That is a good point. I mean, I've always been of the view that we are underfunding the NHS, and actually I think these people should be paid well. They should have comfortable lives, you know, because they're doing a really hard job. It's not something I could do.
I just think the people that are going to save you if you're going to die, or your children if they're ill, maybe we'll let's look after them.
Exactly. It's the same when they underpay pilots. You know, they're paying, like, pilots in the US get barely anything, and I think that's kind of an important job.
Yeah,
I want to know the person who's flying the plane is not going to crash into a mountain or something.
Oh, it'll be a robot soon.
It will be a robot soon. What if it's a robot in hospital soon? No bedside manner, those things.
Yeah.
No, true.
No good at all.
Oh, God.
Anyway, that is all we've got time for this section of the show. That is the front pages out of the way. But coming up after the break, the BBC are in trouble again, Royal Mail are in trouble, and Donald Trump is causing trouble. See you in a couple of minutes.
We are GB News, the People's Channel.
And right across the United Kingdom.
You can find us on Sky Channel 512,
Virgin Media Channel 604,
Freesat Channel 216.
Freeview Channel 236.
And YouView Channel 236.
You can also take us with you on DAB Plus Radio.
With the GB News app and at the website gbnews.uk.
We're absolutely everywhere.
Come join us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Monday to Thursday, 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. Join me, Dan Wootton. I'll bring you the sharpest takes and hottest debates. Do you not believe in prison?
I don't believe in prisons.
I'm completely stunned. I guarantee you there'll be no spin, no bias, no censorship.
I actually was personally quite offended by it.
And no reason to go to bed.
So I guess they've always been quite woke.
That's Dan Wootton tonight on TV, radio and online. Monday to Thursday from 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and you can join me every weekday 6 till 7 on Jubes and Kerr.
You're an inspiration to us all.
Clip that bit up.
Well, you are.
That's my ringtone. My political ambitions those days are gone, I can tell you.
She's only teasing. Go on.
He's probably going to want to lay down now. I'll give him 2 minutes to have one. Let's respectfully disagree. That's what we like on Jubes and Kerr. Come and join us. GB News, the People's Channel.
Michelle Dewberry, weekday evenings at 6 o'clock.
I'm Simon Evans. Join me on GB News for Headliners at 11 p.m.
What's the scoop?
I'll be joined by 2 of the country's top comedians.
That's right.
As we take a look at tomorrow's newspapers tonight.
We're going to get into trouble.
If it's a big story, we'll be covering it.
Spill some tea on him.
There we go.
But we'll also have some fun.
I wouldn't stick up a bank.
My father didn't love me.
So anyway.
Headliners every night from 11 on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's all about family, being in people's living rooms, all the interaction and getting to know who our viewers and listeners are.
When I was young, my dad used to say, no, stop arguing. I wanted an outlet that would enable me to give my opinion.
People are going through a really hard time right now, and I know that you don't feel like you're being listened to by the establishment. I came to GB News because it's the People's Channel, and I want the audience to have their say on the events of the day.
We're dynamic. We do something different.
Democracy shows that the wisdom of the nation is in its people.
I get to travel to find out what the story is from a personal perspective.
The British people aren't fools. We know when we're not being told the full story.
We've got to work out how Britain moves forward from this.
It's the best country in the world.
The establishment had their chance. Now we're here to represent your views.
Britain's watching.
Britain's watching.
Britain's watching.
We're proud to be GB News,
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners with me, Andrew Doyle. This is your first look at Saturday's newspapers. Today I'm with Dan O'Reilly, a.k.a. Dapper Laughs, and his trusty news sidekick, Jonathan Cogan. But We're going to go with the Telegraph first now. And Donald Trump is back. He means business. Jonathan.
He's back and he's got a lot to say, as per. So, Donald Trump, forget Russia. Our own politicians are a bigger threat. So some of our viewers may remember Trump from the presidency and other things. And he says that America's greatest threat is not Russia, but its own USA-hating congressmen and politicians. So what he's conjuring up here is the idea that the American institutions have essentially become I guess, either corrupt or infiltrated with certain ideologies that are anti-American interests, and, things like Marxism all that kind of thing. And he's basically saying that that's the main threat. Don't need to worry about the Ukraine. That's a proxy battle, and the Americans need to focus on their home soil.
So this is pretty typical kind of thing for Trump to do, is to sort of focus on catastrophise and sort of say, he used to say drain the swamp.
Right.
Didn't he? And so the politicians of the US are basically the biggest threat to Western civilization. Yeah. Is he right, Dan?
Well, I think it's easy, isn't it, for him to focus on maybe, I don't know how to put it, but people that are just sick to death of all the mad wokeness and all of that crazy stuff. So it's an easy way for him to go. When everything's going one way, it's an easy way for him to go, to rail up the people that just want a normal life.
But it's kind of not a good look for Trump. The Democrats spent years saying that he was colluding with Russia. There turned out to be no evidence of that. Weren't they saying that Russian prostitutes...
So it kind of looks like he's like, oh, don't worry about them, they're all right.
Exactly, don't worry about them.
Yeah.
But, the thing about Trump is apparently he's the front runner. Apparently he's got the most support from Republicans.
Is it going to be 4 more years?
Well, I find that really surprising. I honestly think that DeSantis is clearly a saner bet, right? So wouldn't it make more sense for the GOP to go that way rather than elevate and escalate this culture war?
I mean, it doesn't look like it's going that way, though. It probably sounds like that would be a more reasonable thing to be doing.
There's a bit of a hint that Hillary Clinton was thinking about running again. I mean, that would be amazing. A Clinton versus
Round
Trump.
two.
Round two.
God.
I would like that to happen just for the entertainment.
Just for the lols.
Yeah, I'd like Donald Trump to get back in just to see Twitter go mad and social media.
For a day,
it's entertaining, isn't it? So
he's not back on Twitter though.
No, but he's just got his YouTube back, I think.
Has he?
His Facebook, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think if he was running, he would go back on Twitter. He's being quite proud about it at the moment, but I think he would. And let's face it, he was the funniest thing on Twitter.
Love it.
Really good. Not great as a president, necessarily, but good as a comedian. Anyway, we're going to move on now to the Royal Mail. In trouble with Ofcom. Makes a change from TV channels.
Yes, Royal Mail referred to regulator by MPs amid worst performance in its history. A committee accused the Royal Mail of having systematically failed to deliver. They've been waiting to do that headline.
That headline has been...
They've been waiting to do it. It's a universal service obligation and referred to Ofcom. Basically, Royal Mail is now officially really bad, right? But I just want to make this clear. Like the posties, all the posties, you're legends, because my postie is an absolute legend. I love it when they come and they make you take the picture with your package by the door, and I'm kind of like, you can pose in that. I love those geezers, but all the ladies actually, because there's Royal Mail ladies as well.
There are. You've got to get with the times.
Yeah, and probably other ones that identified not just as maybe I don't know. But the actual Royal Mail is shocking, rubbish.
It's not.
That's what they're saying.
They're basically saying that they never deliver on time.
Well, they don't.
I'm furious with Royal Mail. I still haven't got my Valentine's Day cards from this February.
You've had none?
I've had zero, and
that is so implausible.
Yeah.
It must be.
And you think that's the Royal Mail, not your appearance?
Well, I mean, let's not get personal about it, but, you never know. The thing is, I didn't know that Ofcom regulated Royal Mail. I mean, I know they're in charge of communications, but I thought it was specifically TV and... what's going on?
I didn't, yeah.
Well, OK, and apparently they've done it before. So Royal Mail, it says here, Royal Mail was fined £1.5 million in 2019 for failing to deliver the first-class mail on time. And this latest rap on the knuckles is apparently due to their failure last Christmas. Apparently nothing arrived at Christmas.
Listen, it's terrible. It's a terrible service. Everyone will tell you that. And apparently they've just put their prices up on stuff as well.
Oh, they have. Yeah, the stamps are really expensive now.
Love that.
I mean, isn't it? When you're doing a bad job and you charge people more.
Yeah.
I mean, the cheek of it.
BBC, yeah.
Oh, well, we're going to get to that, no doubt. Going to move on to the Times, actually, and trouble at the National Union of Students. Jonathan, this is an interesting one, isn't it?
Yes, so the former NUS president fights sacking over anti-Semitism. So the sacked president of the National Union of Students is taking legal action against her dismissal, claiming discrimination. Now, she only found out that she'd been fired on Twitter, which is a pretty brutal way...
That is pretty horrible.
That is pretty brutal, yeah. Now, the reason why she got fired is because there was like an inquiry done, and she had been... shown, according to this inquiry, to have made some anti-Semitic tweets and caused a culture of anti-Semitism within this kind of student unions and stuff. Now, she got a tweet that was dug up 12 years ago, or 10, 12 years ago.
Yes.
I don't like that whole kind of thing of going back in time and looking at people's tweets and seeing what they said. You know, she's probably a very different person. Then again, that being said, she's in a very important position. There'd been accusations of anti-Semitism, and the tweet was anti-Semitic.
So this is a complex one because, you know, I mean, we can talk about cancel culture if you like, but actually this is about that question of, you know, she's anti-Zionist.
Yeah.
She has professed her view that she thinks that she's basically supporting Palestinians, effectively. And that kind of political, delicate, sensitive political situation can often teeter over into anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
But sometimes some people who have a certain take on that, the politics in that region, are not being anti-Semitic, but are accused of being anti-Semitic.
It's messy,
It's actually messy, isn't it? Now, I think she does admit that what she realised that tweet you're referring to from 12 years ago could be interpreted as anti-Semitic, and she said she deleted it straight away.
She said, "I hate their little hats. They're stupid." That's what she said.
Is that what she...
No.
You just made that up?
Yeah, I just made that up.
You're allowed to do that because you are Jewish, so that's okay. That's okay.
My hat.
I have to say that.
Yeah.
Kogan has a licence to say that. We can't say that, Dan.
No.
What do you think about this?
Well, I don't really understand anything about any of that stuff. It sort of fries my mind. I haven't followed this, and I don't understand the Palestinian and da-da-da, so I'm not going to get into that. But what I do know about is tweets from back in the day. A lot of my tweets got pulled up from back in the day, silly stuff that I said when I was younger, and I learned from that. I learned not to tweet that stuff anymore. Just say it in private to your friends.
Yeah, well, there is absolutely that. I mean, I'm with Jonathan on that. I don't like this thing of digging up old stuff. People do change. They do become better people. But on the other hand, she's the president of the NUS, and if she is expressing anti-Semitic views, that can't be...
Yeah, I mean...
can't have that.
No.
I mean, that doesn't make sense. She's supposed to be representing all students. So
but if you're a comedian, you should really be allowed to say what you want.
Well, that's a very different thing. I think there should be like a free speech sort of guarantee for comedians. They can stand on stage and say the most horrible things. I think we should be able to do that.
That's, you know, how I made my bones. Yeah.
That's what you do, Jonathan. Exactly. I've seen you at your stand-up. It's like a rally. Absolutely horrible. OK, we're going to move on now to this story from The Telegraph. Bad news for the BBC.
Yeah, the BBC has lost its place as the national broadcaster. Exclusive poll finds 91% of over 10,000 Telegraph readers back abolishing levy, with many claiming it's regressive and out of date. An exclusive poll by the Telegraph says that 91% of people... or the readers here think that they should scrap the mandatory licence fee.
So the problem with this has kind of come back into the news because of the Gary Lineker furore.
Yeah.
So what's happened is it's just drawn more attention to the fact that a lot of people really feel resentful that they're paying this licence fee, right? So, I mean...
Don't pay.
Yeah,
Very simple.
Really? You can't just do that, can you?
Yeah, you cannot pay. Then you don't have to watch it, but like...
Oh, I see. So if you don't pay but you don't watch it, that's allowed, is it?
Yeah.
But you can't watch any TV if you don't...
No, you can. You just can't watch any live TV. You're allowed to watch catch-up. I've researched this extensively.
Well, what's the weird thing about this is, you know, we've had all the stuff with Gary Lineker, and then all of a sudden they say we're going to raise the cost by 13 quid. That's a really bad timing.
Yeah, I mean, like, we don't mind paying for Netflix because there's good stuff on there, but the BBC, you know...
There's some good stuff on
Yeah, there is.
You had a rather insightful comment about...
Yeah, I personally think that they should have given the nation a refund after we found out about Jimmy Savile. Anyway...
They should have lowered their prices.
You think that's when they should have lowered their prices at that point?
They should definitely give us our money back then.
Use code Jimmy at checkout.
What do you think, though, about this whole thing about streaming services? I mean, you know, ultimately the BBC's got to move with the times. The TV licence does feel a bit antediluvian,
right?
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. It's old-fashioned. It's like, why don't we go to a system where, you know, they're very confident in their programming.
Sure.
That being the case, why not just compete in the streaming way, you know, like everyone else does?
Yeah.
I don't think it will last long. I definitely think the generation under... Yeah, I don't think it's going to last long. It's not modern, is it?
It's not, no. And I think they should just, you know, get with the times, probably. Anyway, we're going to move on now to this story. Telegraph again, and the BBC again. Apparently, Northerners need representation. Jonathan, you Northerner?
No, my mum's from Leeds, so...
yeah, there you go. You've got some Northern.
Half Northern.
Half Northern.
Yeah. Fortunately, not in the brain, so I'm joking.
Oh...
Sorry,
lost half the
sorry,
viewers
Little
there.
England, yeah.
Goodness me. So what's this story about, John?
Oh, so the story is the BBC radio reporter claims her podcast was delayed by bosses who feared she wasn't Northern enough. So a local radio journalist for the BBC, she'd been told she wasn't Northern enough when battling to get her podcast onto the BBC.
That's odd, isn't it? I mean, so it used to be that people who didn't have a posh enough accent... RP,
yeah.
didn't get on the BBC, but now if you're not sufficiently Northern...
then you can't get on.
Yeah, I mean, look, my mum's from Leeds. If I'm completely honest, I've never understood a word she said.
No.
Ever. Yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah, what do you think about this one, Dan? Because I kind of get it that if it's a regional podcast for BBC Sounds, you want the person to sound Northern. But she is Northern.
Yeah.
It's not like she's a fraud.
Well, maybe they just they wanted someone more to make it feel authentic. I mean, my wife is Northern, and actually my in-laws are down at the moment. They're in my house right now.
Can you understand what they're saying?
Not when they talk to each other, but they dumb it down for me when they talk to me.
Yeah.
They say stuff like "ratless" or "give over" and like stuff like that.
Is that English?
That is, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
OK.
But yeah, I mean, you never want people to be too Northern because they're quite scary.
Well, there's always that. And that may be the problem with this podcast. They're just thinking, you're a bit too threatening.
No, but jokes aside, I guess they...
I was being serious.
Yeah, oh, really?
Yeah.
But no, I wouldn't say
You ever been
that.
to Newcastle on Saturday night?
Well, yeah,
Absolutely terrifying.
I live with a Northern woman, mate, and they are a little bit scary. But no, I personally think that they just want her to connect. I don't think it's no big deal though if they want someone with a bit more of a Northern accent.
Sure, she should just put it on.
Well, that's what I don't understand.
I'm not this posh. I put it on for TV.
If she's from the north,
me too.
She should just put on the broad Northern accent, shouldn't she? Goodness
agree.
me. Silly girl.
I agree, yeah.
Anyway, we're going to move on now. That is all we've got time for in this section. We're going to take a quick break. Do not go anywhere, however, because these two are going to be talking about why scammers are getting pious, why Rolls-Royce is reaching for the moon, and why spiders are becoming zombies. See you in 3 minutes.
I joined GB News because I was sick and tired of not hearing my views being represented, not just mine, but so many people that I knew and spoke to.
I just couldn't get my voice out there. I couldn't say anything. I couldn't do anything. Whatever the narrative was, I kind of had to follow it.
GB News is there to provide a voice for those who have been ignored by the establishment media. We think different things, we've got a different style.
GB News is here to be optimistic and positive about the future.
It's real kind of dynamic and flowing, with the audience very much at the heart of it, like a big family.
Here at GB News, we talk about the things that matter to you.
Hearing the voices from right across our towns and cities, especially our towns.
All sides of the argument represented with a heavy dose of opinion.
We're on a mission here to make a difference. And the GB News family really is here for you, and whatever time of day you can watch or listen.
Britain's watching.
Britain's watching.
We're proud to be GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Westminster is going around in ever-decreasing circles, followed by the media. Britain is broken. How on earth did we get into this mess? But more importantly, how do we get out of it? Join me at 7 p.m, Mondays to Thursdays on Farage. Here on GB News, we will have open, rational debate. We've got to work out how Britain moves forward from this. Join us here on GB News, the People's Channel. Britain is watching.
You've probably seen politicians interviewed 1,000 times, but we do it differently. We find out who they really are, we don't shout, we chat, and hopefully we bring a bit of light, not just heat. Did you know Kate Moss?
Apparently.
Do you have a pair of jeans or a pair of jeans?
No, of course I don't. What would I do with them?
My friends are like, oh my God, what's she doing now?
Join me every Sunday at 6 for Gloria Meets, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Jacob Rees-Mogg, the Member of Parliament for North East Somerset and a former government minister. For years, I've walked the corridors of power in both Westminster and the City of London. I campaigned in the largest democratic vote in our island story. I know this country has so much to be proud of. We need to have the arguments, the discussions on how we make it better. The wisdom of the nation is in its people. Vox Populi, Vox Dei. That's why I'm joining the People's Channel. Join me Monday to Thursday at 8 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Mark White. As GB News Home and Security Editor, I cover those key issues that are so important to you. Our authorities, our communities doing all they can to combat violent crime. With the public services under unbearable strain, why are we still failing to control our borders? Defence, the first priority of any government, has been continually hollowed out. Can we trust our politicians to protect the armed forces? Join me, Mark White, on GB News.
Welcome back to Headliners. It's your first look at Saturday's newspapers. We're going to start this section with the mail and peanut allergies, Jonathan.
Yes, it could be a thing of the past, hopefully. So scientists discover a way of drastically cutting risk of kids becoming allergic to peanuts. So according to a study, parents should introduce their children to peanut products from as young as 4 months old to prevent them from developing allergies. So there's a window of opportunity here for babies between the ages of 4 and 6 months, which they say is the best time to introduce babies to peanuts. So I'm a big peanut butter guy, possibly the best food ever invented.
Yes.
One thing I noticed here, though, in the study it says how 1,300 babies were recruited. How do you recruit a baby? I feel like...
Yeah, that's child labour.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what they mean, Jonathan. I think they've done this...
Scripted?
They've done this study. I mean, Dan, this sounds like... I mean, I read a book about this. They were talking about how, actually, when parents started saying, oh, they were so scared of peanut allergies, so they just kept their kids away from peanuts, that made it massively worse. So, actually, you should introduce it gradually.
Yeah, I mean, how common is this? I mean, Andrew, how are you with nuts in your mouth today? Have you...
Don't enjoy it.
OK.
I'll be honest, yeah.
And you, John, do you get...
Look, what happens at frat parties back at uni? I don't know.
No, but I think, you know, it's a bit of a risk, isn't it, given... you know, at them ages of, you know, they're basically saying give the kids the peanuts and it'll help them later. What if they have a severe peanut allergy at that age?
But I think the point is they're less likely to...
Right.
Does this work with everything? Like, because, you know, they get these shocks with bee stings, so should you just throw a baby into, like, a beehive to prevent...
I don't think you should.
Is that not what you should do?
And a flashback to my girl where Macaulay Culkin gets stung and it's horrible.
Doesn't he die?
I had a dream where I went to the afterlife and met stung to death Macaulay Culkin when I was, like, 6.
That is pretty scary.
I died a lot in my dreams as a kid.
Okay.
I don't know why.
That's horrible, Jonathan. Never share that story again.
No, I shan't.
I think that's really, really awful.
Shan't.
We're going to move on to this one now. This is Saturday's Times, and the scammers are going pious. Dapper, what's this about?
This is a great show. I just want to say that, guys. I love this show today. Scammers pose as Archbishop of York to get priests to buy vouchers. Scammers have been impersonating bishops and, is it clergy they call them? Clergy in emails asking priests and church staff to buy Amazon vouchers. Basically, what these guys have done, these scammers have gone on the websites for the churches, they found the email addresses, they've been sending emails to each other as each other saying, can you do me a favour and just, you know, buy me some Amazon vouchers. It's a way for them to get some money, and they're saying, look, don't ring me up and ask me about it because I'm deep in prayer at the moment. Yeah. And I think it's great because, you know, the church has been scamming people for years, so let's do it.
But this isn't priests scamming other priests.
No. These are probably people in other countries or, you know, criminal gangs.
Yeah, it's the people who used to say, you know, send me £50 million to Nigeria.
I've got £50 million and I need to get it to England. Can you help? But I need you to send me 100 quid quick first.
Do you know what? I guess the reason they're doing this is because priests are going to trust anyone. You know, the clergy, you know, they have to believe in the essential goodness of humanity.
But they're pretending to be the other priests. They're pretending to be their pals.
Ah, yes, OK.
Right, yeah.
So these scammers are like, for instance, the Archbishop of York, Stephen Cottrell, he's been imitated. People are saying this is the... Well, apparently one of the ways they spotted it is that he doesn't sign off his emails as the Reverend Stephen Cottrell. He is the most Reverend Stephen Cottrell. Like, of all the Stephen Cottrells, he's the most reverend of them.
That's a proper lad priest.
Yeah, proper lad priest.
Love that.
What do you think, Jonathan? I mean, it's got to be immoral to go after priests, for goodness' sake.
I think so, because you're not... Yeah, like you say, these are people who want to believe the best in people in theory, and it is subverting the vibrational...
Are you getting more theological now?
Yes, I'm not getting metaphysical.
OK.
Pataphysical, It's making things worse for everybody.
It's not right, you know, if there is a hell, surely you're going to get a lot more days in hell for going after a priest, for scamming a priest. But
the good thing is Amazon vouchers work in hell, I hear.
So, they probably do, actually. That's where they originate.
A stake in it.
Absolutely, yeah. Poor priests.
Nah, times are hard, man. Do you know what I mean? Get your money. Get out there, get it.
Why not go after nuns as well?
Yeah.
While you're at it. And orphans.
They don't have any money.
Yeah, well,
maybe Harry Potter, but...
OK, we're going to move on to the Telegraph now. Rolls-Royce's future plans are out of this world, Jonathan.
Yes, indeed. I mean, this sounds like a headline from a retro-futuristic 1920s newspaper. When they're predicting the future, this headline comes to mind. So, Rolls-Royce go ahead to build a nuclear reactor on Moon.
I like that you did the 1920s
Oh,
voice.
yes, that's fine.
American as well, wasn't it?
That's how I've seen a lot of things here. They're going to be mixing... I don't know where I'm going with that. So, Rolls-Royce has received funding from the UK Space Agency to develop a nuclear reactor for a moon base. So this project will look to how nuclear power could be used to support a future base for astronauts. So
this is a good idea.
Great idea.
Because, you know, you have nuclear reactors down here I'm always a bit nervous about, because I saw Chernobyl.
Yeah.
It didn't work out there. But if it's on the moon, I don't care, like, a few moon people.
Oh, it's already got craters, whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The whole thing could blow up and it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
No?
It's not even...
That's if we even have been to the moon, guys. I'm putting it out there.
Yeah.
I'm putting it out there, okay?
Yeah.
Because, look, I can't even get phone signal in some parts of my house, and they reckon that they were ringing, like, shooting back the old TV, the video of them walking on one small step for man. I just don't buy it.
You don't buy it? You think that Stanley Kubrick directed that?
Well, come on, yeah. I mean, it was 50 years ago. They didn't even have Nokias with the Snake games on it then.
No. I'm going to provide some balance here, and I think we did go to the moon.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think we did, because I think it would be too big a conspiracy to cover up.
Yeah.
But, and I think we shouldn't have stopped. It's been 50 years since we've been there.
Yeah.
I think it's really
How come we didn't go back? How come we didn't go back,
Because, Stan, it was money. It was too expensive to go to the moon, and there's very little there. You haven't been there, but...
Or was it? I heard there's actually quite a lot in there.
I think it was just... We need to get back there, because also, we might need the moon to go to Mars next. You need like a stopping point, like the services.
To refuel,
Yeah, all that kind of thing. So I think it's a good thing.
KFC on the moon.
I want this to go ahead, and I think Rolls-Royce should be congratulated for this. I think it's brilliant.
Boom.
I would live on the moon if I had the option.
Yeah.
Why not?
I hear there's no atmosphere.
OK, Jonathan, you're not speaking again. We're going to move on to this story. This is in the Times. Andrew Tate in the news again, Dapper.
Yeah, thanks for giving me this one.
Not deliberate, of course.
Workshops tackle misogyny by teaching men to remove their armour of masculinity, because that's what we need to do. We need to teach boys not to be boys. Boys are being taught to strip away the burdensome armour of masculinity.
What does that mean, armour of masculinity?
The hard shell that we have.
Like it's a front, like we just put on this bravado to hide what we actually are, which is women.
This is what I find really odd about this. Like, it's not as though boys, that it's all performative. There are certain traits that are more common amongst male humans.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I don't know why they should be punished for that.
Well, no, you got to get rid of all that stuff now. It's not really appropriate to be male and masculine now and have banter and fun and be like a lad. It's better to just make all the men women.
See, this is so, No, I get that point. People talk about toxic masculinity, right? And I get it. Like, if a boy is going around glassing people or something,
I think
you say there's a problem.
Yeah, but no,
if they're just doing rough and tumble play...
No, I think, look, I, as you can see, I feel quite passionate about this. I mean, I just because, it can go too far, There's a lot of stuff about being a man and being masculine that is very positive as well. So sometimes that's overlooked. But
it doesn't necessarily get celebrated.
No, it doesn't. But it does go on to say, that, some of the stuff that Tate has said has actually encouraged, young boys to say and do silly things. So, it's that stuff they're looking at. Like, there's one of these quotes here where some of the kids in the school were actually telling the female teachers, you should be in the kitchen. And that's terrible.
Maybe that's a compliment. Maybe they're really good at cooking.
Maybe it was home economics. I don't know.
Yeah,
but all I'm saying is I don't approve of it.
So all I know is everything I've ever learned about masculinity when I was a young teenager was from an ITV show called Dapper Laughs on the Pool.
Very good. I like that. That was fun.
And
well done.
That's why you turned out the way you did.
I did, yeah.
There we go. You've got problems.
I should have got you on there. You would have got them Valentine's cards.
Oh, yeah, true. No, I was slaying...
Think about this. They're talking about how Andrew Tate is influencing these boys. So what we need to do in response is basically penalise boys for being boys. But what they don't understand is the appeal of Andrew Tate has come about precisely because of those policies.
I think a better way to go about this would be teaching boys not to be influenced negatively instead of trying to teach them not to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
teach them about maybe not treat us like we're stupid. Not all the young lads that are watching this stuff.
The other thing is, a lot of them, they go after... They say they like this Andrew Tate character because they know that it annoys the teachers.
It's incendiary.
I've got a teacher friend, they had an assembly where the head said, that Andrew Tate is banned. You can't mention the name and you can't look at any of his stuff. So, of course, they're all doing it.
And they were like, what colour's your Lamborghini, sir? Which is one of his...
Is that a reference to...
I think so, yeah.
I can see you've been watching his videos.
Well, again, everything I learned.
There's no point. You'll never be masculine.
No. I'm progressive masculinity.
Progressive masculinity. OK, right, we're going to move on to this one. This is the Daily Star. Fans of the TV show The Last of Us will be worried at this latest revelation.
Oh, this is good news for people who like zombie spider fungus. This is
who doesn't?
Great. Yeah, this is horrible. I mean, it's exciting because I love fungus. I've read a lot of books and I've ingested a lot of fungus in my time. So, The Last of Us, parasitic fungus that attacks and kills living cells found in spiders. So, a new type of parasitic fungus that hunts and kills the cells of living creatures has been discovered in Brazil, similar to the zombie fungi depicted in The Last of Us. Now, I read this book called Entangled Life, I think, by someone Sheldrake. Really great book. And one of the chapters was there exists this kind of fungus that takes over living organisms and actually affects their brains. Apparently this one doesn't, but there are certain ants, I think called leafcutter ants. The fungus infects them. It starts controlling their motions.
What?
Literally, it's insane. This
That's
is real.
horrible.
Yeah,
That's the stuff of horror films.
And it is, and it affects how they live and where they go, and then it explodes out their body, but it tells the ant to go up to a high place and explode the fungal spores.
So
It's
if
crazy.
I go shoplifting, can I say I've just got a fungus controlling my...
Yeah, for sure. You'd be like, I've got, a fungal infection and that's why I'm stealing this Vagisil, whatever it is that people...
Very specific example. Dan, does this terrify you as much as it terrifies you?
Yeah, I mean, like something getting hold of you and controlling you and telling you what to... It sounds like marriage to me. It's mad, but...
I think this is just a metaphor for marriage.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's scary stuff, but, is it going to come true? Who knows?
I don't know. I think we're too big. I think it gets microorganisms, or like...
Yeah, but this is bad enough if it gets into spiders.
Yeah.
The spiders are everywhere.
Yeah.
So I don't want zombie spiders in my house.
No.
They exist. Zombie ants definitely exist. They literally exist. It's crazy. Like, it's wild.
Well, you mean ants die? And
essentially, their bodies and their nervous system gets taken over by...
You love this stuff, don't you?
I really do.
You really
Am I a
do.
nerd?
You love this.
Am I a nerd?
Is it because... Do you love this stuff, or is it the mushrooms, the mushroom aspect?
Too many
of it?
mushrooms. I think it's happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I met God once.
OK, let's move on.
Let's move on. That is the end of this section. We've got to go and sort out Jonathan Cogan. Get him a nice cold drink.
Yeah.
I think he needs to calm down. After this break, though, we will be tackling why water is the secret to a longer life, what makes a toxic boss, and a St. Patrick's Day leprechaun. Wonderful. See you in a minute.
Monday to Thursday nights on GB News. At 6, it's Dubes & Co. 7 o'clock, Farage. At 8, join Jacob Rees-Mogg. And at 9, Dan Wootton Tonight, followed by headliners. On TV, radio and online. This is GB News.
First and foremost, I'm a GB News fan, and I was before I was working here. Just love the fact that we're asking the questions that a lot of establishment media won't ask.
With a bit of a twist, we not only want to inform you, but we want to keep you entertained.
It's worth the drive because you get in and the team's all ready and waiting, they're itching to go, and it's a proper little family.
GB News is the People's Channel.
It's the audience that makes the programme sing.
We're giving our viewers and our listeners a voice. I see the thousands of your letters, tweets, emails, you name it, coming in.
Britain is broken. How on earth did we get into this mess? But more importantly, how do we get out of it?
The establishment had their chance. Now we're here to represent you.
It's time for something different. It's time for GB News. I'm very patriotic. I believe in Britain. Our best days lie ahead.
Britain's watching.
Britain's watching.
Join us here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Join me, Patrick Christie's Monday to Friday, 3 till 6. We tackle the day's news agenda like you've never seen before. It's high tempo, high octane, the most controversial topics, and the best guests. You will not be able to take your eyes and ears off it. I'm not afraid to ask the questions that you really want answered. 3 till 6 p.m, Monday to Friday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News has its own late-night paper preview show, Headliners, where comedians take you through the next day's top news stories. You don't have to bother reading the newspaper, we've got it covered for you. Headliners, every night at 11 p.m, and repeated every morning at 5 a.m. We won't send you to sleep like some of the other paper review shows out there. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, on Sunday mornings from 9:30, taking the politicians to task and breaking out of SW1 to see how their decisions are affecting you across the UK. Bursting the Westminster bubble every Sunday morning, only on GB News, the People's Channel. Britain's watching.
I'm Michael Portillo. Join me on GB News on a Sunday morning for topical discussion, debate, arts and culture, and sometimes even ethical dilemmas.
I don't always agree with you, Michael.
Michael Portillo, Sundays on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Andrew Doyle. Join me at 7 o'clock every Sunday night for Free Speech Nation, the show where I tackle the week's biggest stories in politics and current affairs with the help of my 2 comedian panellists and a variety of special guests.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights from 7 on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners with me, Andrew Doyle. This is your first look at Saturday's newspapers. And kicking off the final part, we've got a man who claims he's found the key to a longer life. Dapper, this one is in the Times, I believe.
Yeah, meet the man spending 100 days underwater to find the elixir of youth. Professor Joseph Dietrich believes intense atmospheric pressure holds the key to a longer life. He explains how he's hoping to reach 110 years of age. He's going to live in his underwater lodge and he swims out and he gets his crab and his fish, and he's attempting to become the first human to spend 100 days underwater, subjecting himself to a regular battery of physical and medical tests, and he's going to show that the beneficial effects of living under atmospheric pressure that is so strong it could make his banana explode. A banana explode.
Is that what it does?
That's the amount of... Basically, sorry, my reading's gone, but I can't really read. Basically, so much pressure is meant to be good for you. It's sleeping
under a tank. But then what about drowning?
No, you're in a tank. You're in not a tank of water, but you're in like the.
You're in like a big dome.
So you can still breathe.
You're underwater, but you're in a tank.
Okay, okay, but Jonathan, the thing is though, say that this procedure does extend your life to another 10 years. But the quality of life isn't great, because underwater, I don't know if you tried it, you can't speak, you can't really socialise, you can't drink other liquids.
You're assuming those are bad things. You can just... Maybe he wants to live under the sea where all his problems are solved, and he can, go eat jellyfish for lunch and go... make sweet love to a dolphin. I don't know what people do down there. But...
Is that what he does? Is that what it's all about?
Just to check.
I mean,
yes.
we shouldn't make any libelous
allegedly makes love to a dolphin.
I don't think he does do that. But
it's like being in a hyperbaric chamber.
Yeah, but isn't this an experiment? Do they actually know whether having this sort of constant pressure...
Well, Justin Bieber claimed, and it is a good source, that...
a famous scientist.
Yeah, he claimed that sleeping in one of these pressure chambers actually reduces anxiety, which made me think, how anxious have you got to be when it's better to sleep in a metal tube?
And also, how does more pressure make you less anxious? That's what I got.
Well, I had a friend who used to sleep upside down, claiming that sort of extended her life. Does that do that?
Did Michael Jackson do that?
No, he slept in an oxygen tent, I think.
But I think that's part of it. In the hyperbaric chamber, they, pump in oxygen.
Batman slept upside down.
Who did?
Batman.
Yeah, but I don't think he was doing it for health reasons. I think it's because he was a bat.
This is a weird conversation.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on to another one then, in that case. This is the Daily Mail, Saturday's Daily Mail. Bosses, Jonathan.
Toxic bosses. So the headline is, the core traits of toxic bosses. Scientists identify 5 key characteristics. So does your manager have any of them? Well, Andrew...
Go on.
This is why we brought you here as my boss. These are 5 key traits of toxic leaders. Let's see if you have them.
What are they?
OK, jealous of their team success. Well, today I don't think we've really...
Well, I'm jealous of you in all sorts of ways.
Fair enough. My fashion...
Your dress sense and your sexual charisma.
Exactly. I'm oozing it. OK,
oozing something.
Are you constantly concerned about competition or workplace enemies? You had that fist fight with Simon Evans?
Yeah, but we do that all the time.
Yeah, that's true. That's more flirty. OK, do you often take credit for other people's work?
No. This show is very good, and sometimes because I'm on it, you tweet that it was good. So that's kind of like...
You said you were the original Dapper last.
Oh, yeah, I did do that.
Do you constantly compare themselves to others?
No.
Look, this is silly. So who's come up with this? This is a new book, right?
Yes.
Basically, this article is just plugging this guy's book, and he said he's got these 5 traits of toxic leaders. And that's a short book.
Well, listen, this is just toxic people, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's nothing to do with being a leader.
Exactly.
It sounds like narcissism.
Exactly.
Does sound like narcissism. Very true.
I don't think there's much in that. I think it's just that's just a newspaper sort of falling for the trick and publishing an article to plug someone's book. Anyway, we're going to move on now to the Metro. This is a good St. Patrick's Day story. And what's going on with this one?
Yeah, a club night is accused of racism for hiring a dwarf leprechaun for St. Patrick's Day. An invite was sent out on the WhatsApp group encouraging people to come to this party in Cargo in the Printworks in Manchester, and the student club night has scrapped its plans to have a dwarf actor dressed as a leprechaun for St. Patrick's Day after a backlash from the university. You know what some of these people that go to universities, they're just looking to try and find something to get upset about, and this was the thing. They've said that, you know, it's too stereotypical to be a short leprechaun. It's out of order on the Irish people. And I don't know if there was a single leprechaun that got upset by this, but
they're pretty sensitive.
Yeah, and it also turns out that probably none of the people in the that complained were dwarfs. But look, this annoyed me because these people that have got annoyed have now cost this dwarf a night's work. Do you know what I mean? His pay's going to be short. Sorry, no, I shouldn't say. His bank balance is going to be low.
It's a minefield.
Yeah, he's going to have very little money. Sorry.
So here's the thing. It's like when the Lord of the Rings films were announced and they said they were going to CGI bigger people to Hobbit size, and all the dwarves were like, well, we don't get any work.
Yeah.
Right? So this isn't fair on the dwarf. But the thing about this story is what annoys me is because I thought it was going to be people outraged about the idea of exploiting a smaller person.
That's what I thought it was going to be.
But it's not.
Yeah,
it's Irish students. This Irish student is basically saying, this is highly offensive to Irish people, Irish stereotypes, making it all about him.
But isn't it a celebration of the day?
Do you know who's done the most to promote the myth of the leprechaun in the world? It's Ireland and Irish people. You go there, you can't move for all the leprechauns.
Well, OK, so I'm Jewish, and so this is a mythical creature, right? But as a Jew, every Hanukkah, we all dress up as a Jewish mythical creature. So we all wear Barbara Streisand wigs, and we dress up as her and go around. And no one has a problem with that.
Well, it's pretty scary. Well, I would have a problem. So she can be quite
fair enough.
frightening.
It is offensive. Tricky.
Yeah, I think this is very, very odd. It's not offensive to... You know, I feel bad for the dwarf, who, by the way, has Irish heritage, and he wasn't...
Wow, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so to the person that complained, I think, you know, that was a very low blow.
Yep. You've done it again, Dan.
Sorry.
Oh, for goodness sake. OK, we're going to move on now to this story, the Daily Mail. This is about the lunches you've been packing, Jonathan.
Yes, so we have a story of a rather odorous lunch, I suppose it can be described as. So the headline is, my son's teacher phoned to say the lunch I packed for him is, in quotes, disgusting and inappropriate, and claims that the smell is distracting other students.
But there's a twist, isn't there? Because the lunch was a traditional Korean lunch. So therefore this is racist.
So that's what people are saying. The fact that it was met with such vitriol is suggested that it was actually like a racist comment, and not just the fact that, like, because it was made of, the lunch consisted of kimchi and spam, which is apparently, according to this article, a traditional Korean lunch dish, and also included our small celery sticks with blue cheese and goat cheese, as well as spicy Doritos. I'm into it.
I mean, that sounds like a nice lunch, if I'm honest.
But which kid's having blue cheese? That's fancy.
Is it racist, Dan? Because, you know, if you know, some of those French cheeses smell quite bad, and if you brought that in a packed lunch, I think you could legitimately say, don't do that because it smells bad, without being, you know, anti-French, right?
Yeah, if you did it in a French accent, we're like, stop bringing your cheese in.
Is that French?
I think so.
What's a very, like, British dish? Like, do you know, like fish and chips?
Fish and chips,
yeah. So if I give my kid fish and chips and took it into school and they rang me up and went, listen, don't bring the fish and chips into school because it stinks, I wouldn't be like, oh, my God, you're out of order, because that's horrible because I'm British.
Exactly. I think people are kind of reading a lot into this. I don't think anyone was being offensive or racist.
And also, disgusting and inappropriate is a little bit strong for a teacher.
It is strong, isn't it?
It's a bit strong. If a teacher rang me up and said, look, the food you've made is disgusting and inappropriate, I'd be like, yeah, what are you going to do about it?
Well, that's because, that's your style.
Yeah, because I'm masculine.
You're masculine. The thing is, though, some foreign food is kind of gross. I've been in French markets where they're selling, like, bull's testicles in a tray.
Sure.
You know,
it's a bit racist, that.
Is that racist?
Yeah.
What about in the wet markets in China where they sell, like, a bat on a stick, like a toffee?
I ate one of those
Don't do that,
once.
you'll get
I got
COVID.
quite sick. Yeah.
It's pretty
That's
grim,
where
I
COVID
think.
came from, apparently.
What's wrong with a good old-fashioned, I don't know, pot noodle?
Came from a lab, allegedly.
We're going to move on now to some happy news. This is a romantic tale at a bus stop, Dapper.
Oh, something nice to finish on. Here we go. A man creates a fake timetable to propose at a bus stop where he met his girlfriend. Rory met his girlfriend Charlotte at a bus stop near King's Cross Station 7 years ago. So he thought it was only right to pop the question at the exact same spot. He's been praised online for his incredibly sweet proposal where he installed a fake timetable, and he basically said to his missus, come over here, let's get a bus, have a look. And when she looked on there, it was actually a proposal saying, what did it say? We've been together for 7 years and this is where we met, will you marry me?
Oh, so he actually changed the bus timetable.
He changed the bus, but he also took it at McDonald's before, didn't he, John?
He's set a precedent for men to not have to try very hard.
Yeah.
You take your ladies to McDonald's and propose. This guy's a hero. He's doing it for all men.
Well, that's a very sweet story to end on, but we do have to end. We are out of time. So let's have a quick look again at Saturday's front pages. Daily Mail are leading with passport strike threat to holidays. The Telegraph has war crime arrest warrant for Putin. The Guardian, NHS doctors offered £5,000 to lure staff into private jobs. The Mirror has victory over cruel hunters. Those are the trophy hunters. And The Times is running with holidays hit as passport staff walk out over pay. And the Daily Star, more on the passport story. We're not going on a summer holiday. That is all we've got time for. Thanks to my guests, Dan O'Reilly and Jonathan Cogan. Please do tune in tomorrow where Leo Kearse will be hosting alongside Cressida Wetton and Lewis Schaefer. And remember, if you're watching the 5 a.m. repeat of this show, please do stay tuned for The Breakfast Show, which is just after the break.
We are GB News, the People's Channel.
And right across the United Kingdom.
You can find us on Sky Channel 512,
Virgin Media Channel 604,
Freesat Channel 216,
Freeview Channel 236,
and YouView Channel 236.
You can also take us with you on DAB Plus Radio.
With the GB News app and at the website gbnews.uk.
We're absolutely everywhere.
Come join us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Monday to Thursday, 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. Join me, Dan Wootton. I'll bring you the sharpest takes and hottest debates. Do you not believe in prison?
I don't believe in prisons.
I'm completely stunned. I guarantee you there'll be no spin, no bias, no censorship.
I actually was personally quite offended by it.
And no reason to go to bed.
So I guess they've always been quite woke.
That's Dan Wootton tonight on TV, radio and online.